What's up? Super J is here with another edition of the late night talk show, wrestling style, late night wrestling show. Anyway, we're here. We just got done with the July 24th edition of Monday Night Raw. It had its good parts and its bad. We'll go through it here, match by match, give you guys the results. Thanks for all the people that are giving me shout-outs already. What's up? How's everybody doing? Like I said, I thought it was a good Monday Night Raw. Overall, it had some good and bad. We knew we were going to find out who was going to be the #1 contender to fight Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. We found that out tonight. We knew we were going to have Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins fight the Miz Taraj, and I think it ended up being a great match to main event the evening, and had some cool spots in it. But to start the show, we got Kurt Angle announcing his #1 contender, and you had all three guys in the ring. You had Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe. Kurt Angle then announced that it was going to be a fatal four-way. Brock Lesnar is fighting Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman in a fatal four-way match at SummerSlam. They did not announce that it was going to be an elimination match, so it should be just a regular fatal four-way. Whoever gets the first pinfall out of the four guys is going to be the winner. So that's going to be a pretty awesome match to headline SummerSlam this year. I mean, four, mammoth guys. They're all 6'5" plus, and, over, 300 pounds for the majority of the guys. So it's going to be one hell of a match. And it's going to be some ass kicking. And they started a brawl tonight. You had Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and also Roman Reigns just get into a brawl tonight that I thought was pretty cool. As you know, security guards came out. Braun Strowman was kicking their ass. Out of nowhere, Kurt Angle's calling in the whole locker room. And it was only half the locker room because they only had, the lower card, mid-card guys come out. But they started to get their ass kicked. And finally, they ended up breaking these guys up. Roman Reigns ended up getting a spear on Braun Strowman, who was actually getting the Coquina clutch from Samoa Joe up around his neck. But it was definitely a cool way to start Monday Night Raw and get us ready for SummerSlam. And for everybody that's commenting below, that's awesome. Your guys' channels are starting to do well. Just keep it up there and keep up doing it and see what happens. Pretty awesome. And after that, we ended up finding out that we knew of the no disqualification match that we were going to have tonight against Elias Samson fighting against Finn Balor. And this was two guys that I wanted to see fight in the ring once again. I think they fought a couple weeks ago. But the no DQ match tonight, they just had a brawl inside the ring and out. And it was a good wrestling match. Finn Balor ended up getting the win with the coup de grace off the top rope. And then, he went for the coup de grace, hit that, and then the lights went dark when he was getting ready for the pin, and then Bray Wyatt came out, gave Finn Balor Sister Abigail, and then Elias Samson pinned Finn Balor to get the win. So Elias Samson is getting pushed to the stars here, guys. Like I said, I see mid-card champion written all over Elias Samson. I can see him as an Intercontinental Champion someday. He's going to be fighting Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, some of these guys. It's going to be pretty awesome. Like I said, he works great in the ring. He was in NXT, didn't win any titles there, but I could tell he just had what it takes to, make it in the main event spots, that he's getting put in now on the Raw brand. But after that, we ended up getting just a video package of Kurt Angle last week when he announced that his son was Jason Jordan. And as you guys know, I talked about it earlier, Jason Jordan's in for a big push. He's a great in-ring wrestler. This just adds a little depth to his character. And you get Kurt Angle, so people, got a lot of respect for the Hall of Famer Kurt Angle. So they're trying to rub some of that off on Jason Jordan, who's a lot like Kurt Angle, wrestling in-ring, and looks a lot like him too. But those two guys are doing a great acting job. It's making me damn near believe that it's true. It's pretty damn funny. You can just tell the guys, they light up and, their eyes light up when they talk about each other, and it's pretty funny. But after that, we had Enzo, who apparently was requesting a match against Big Cass one more time. And I don't know why the hell he did that, because Enzo Amore doesn't stand a chance against Big Cass. As you saw backstage right before it, the Big Show pulled Enzo to the side, and he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? You sure you're ready?" And Enzo was like, "I got this." He's got to, stand up for himself. And Big Cass came out and kicked Enzo's ass. And Big Cass was about to, he got the win after the big boot, and he was getting ready to just continue to beat the hell out of Mr. Enzo Amore. And then the Big Show's music hit. He came out, and he proceeded to get his ass whooped by Big Cass as well. And Big Cass hit like 5 of those Empire elbows, those giant elbow drops, and Big Cass took a beating right to the Big Show. It looks like they're going to have a match coming up here in a few weeks, maybe SummerSlam, maybe before it. I can see Enzo Amore and the Big Show getting a tag team title reign between them. I think Enzo Amore, you can definitely use him in the tag team, and you just throw the Big Show with them, give them something to do, maybe be tag team champions for a couple weeks in the future. But I can see that happening in the end of the summer, also in the fall. Big Cass, I really don't like the new entrance music they have for him. I think it's terrible. I definitely think Big Cass is definitely a great in-ring worker, and he's getting better. Maybe they need a manager, valet with them. Maybe that would do it. But they've got to do something with the entrance music. They got to work the lighting a little bit better or something, because I'm not really, attaching myself to Big Cass right now as a heel, as a singles wrestler, because I don't really see it right now. They need to change a few things, and see what happens. But Emma was requesting a match after Kurt Angle was backstage talking with Emma, and Emma said that she wanted the respect that all these other women are getting, and she started the Divas Revolution, the Women's Revolution, and in WWE, and it was time for her to go ahead and get her time. So Kurt Angle, was listening to her, and then Emma said maybe if, she dates Kurt Angle's son, maybe, she'll get a little bit more recognized. And then Kurt Angle said, well, you're getting a one-on-one match tonight against Nia Jax. And that was pretty cool, because Nia Jax came out and kicked her ass in about 30 seconds. They didn't even let Emma have her, music when she came out or anything. Nia Jax just squashed her in about 30 seconds, hit her with this front flip, and landed right on Emma's stomach, and it was over. 1, 2, 3. And what more can you say? I like Emma. I think she's a great-looking woman, and she's a decent wrestler in the ring. As you know, she's had some injuries here in the past. She broke her neck and some other stuff, but hopefully, we wish the best for her, and hopefully she can get a spot here on Raw if she stays healthy. But after that, Akira Tozawa and Titus O'Neil, we saw them backstage, and I don't really know what to say about this whole thing. I like Titus O'Neil. I like him with Apollo Crews, but I don't know about him going Titus Worldwide with Akira Tozawa. And Akira Tozawa apparently got some type of injury last week on 205 Live, and he was trying to get a one-on-one match with Daivari, and he did. So those two were fighting inside the ring, getting ready to fight inside the ring, and Neville came out and was trying to get a match with Akira Tozawa, and then Neville ended up getting his ass kicked along with Akira Tozawa by Daivari. So it looks like they're going to have some type of triple threat match, maybe at SummerSlam, maybe, like a Cruiserweight Challenge. I haven't seen one of those in a while. Try to get all these Cruiserweights in on that SummerSlam card. Try to get at least 4 of them on there, You got TJP, you got Neville, you got Rich Swann, you got Cedric Alexander, you got a lot of guys. Daivari, you have Akira Tozawa. Throw all these guys in one match and let them, put on a show at SummerSlam, because the Cruiserweight division with these one-on-one matches aren't, really grabbing a lot of people's attention. Thanks for the shout-out. Thanks for everybody that's saying nice things. And I don't know what more to say about this. Like I said, I'd like to see a multi-man match at SummerSlam with all the Cruiserweights. Throw them in one match, and then we get a lot of different styles, make for a good match. Maybe have Neville end up losing that title. He's held it, since the beginning of the year. And I think it's time maybe that they take the title off him going into SummerSlam. But after that, we ended up getting Bayley and Sasha Banks backstage. And Bayley was telling Sasha that it's every woman for herself when they have their one-on-one number 1 contendership match. The winner faces Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. And Bayley was, telling Sasha she's ready to go. And, don't take it lightly on me, because I'm not going to on you. And Sasha was kind of thrown back by it a little bit. They ended up fighting one-on-one for the number 1 contenders in a good match. Alexa Bliss was commentating, which was great. She was, totally, beast on the microphone, and along with Corey Graves, it was pretty funny. Bayley ended up getting the win after Sasha Banks hit the frog splash off the top, and Bayley ended up rolling her up for a pin. And it looks like Bayley is fighting Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam, and just a one-on-one match. So I'm glad to see it. I thought that Sasha Banks would have won this match. and then they would have tried to turn Bayley heel. But it looks like they might wait a little bit longer for that. I don't know if anybody noticed, but it was a decent crowd tonight from the Monday Night Raw. But I thought that Bayley didn't get anybody cheering for her at all. I thought that was pretty wild. That was something, I didn't expect. Even my daughter was like, well, there's nobody cheering for Bayley. So pay attention to that. I've heard rumors maybe they're going to turn her heel here during the year, and her and Sasha Banks going at it might, help that process. But nonetheless, we're going to have Bayley, Alexa Bliss one-on-one match at SummerSlam, a good match for the women's division. But Raw and SmackDown, as the card right now is getting made up on SummerSlam, a lot of the big women in both divisions on Raw and SmackDown don't have anything going on. Charlotte over on SummerSlam doesn't have it, on SmackDown Live doesn't have anything going on. Now you have Sasha Banks, doesn't have anything going, Nia Jax. You have some other women that aren't really getting utilized. So let's see what happens on the road to SummerSlam. But after that, we ended up getting Jason Jordan making his singles debut on Monday Night Raw, and he came out and kicked Kurt Hawkins' ass. And as you know, like I said, Jason Jordan just has that extra gear where he just hits, into overdrive when he's ready to, turn on a match, just like Kurt Angle did 20 years ago. And Jason Jordan ended up doing this, looked like a backbreaker he was going to do that, turned it into like a jumping, and he caught the guy in a neck breaker. I thought that was pretty cool. First time we saw that from Jason Jordan. We'll hear next week what is that move exactly called, but I thought it was a decent debut match for Jason Jordan. Kurt Angle's watching backstage, and of course they're going to try to have Kurt Angle, rub off on Jason Jordan, both as a mentor on TV and off. And I definitely see good things going with Jason Jordan. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he's a future Intercontinental Champion in him. We'll see what happens. After that, we heard that the Revival were going to come out and get interviewed, and they talked about how they beat the Hardy Boys last week, and they're the next big tag team in WWE, how they dominated it in NXT. And they proceeded to get interviewed, and they basically interviewed themselves because they're assholes, but they're great wrestlers. So let's give it up for the Revival. They ended up having Anderson and Gallows come out, and they ended up getting on the microphone, and we ended up having the Revival versus Gallows and Anderson in a tag team match. That ended up getting broken up when the Hardy Boys came out, and the Hardy Boys tried to distract the Revival, but it actually backfired, and the Revival ended up hitting the Shatter Machine on Luke Gallows' buddy Carl Anderson, and that was it. So after that, we ended up having just a brawl between the three tag teams with the Hardy Boys getting the best of the Revival in the ring, and then Matt Hardy was going for the Twist of Fate, and then Jeff Hardy was going for the Swanton, and then the Revival jetted out of the ring, and they ended up going up the ramp. But it looks like the Revival and the Hardy Boys are going to get some type of match at SummerSlam, and it looks like Gallows and Anderson are going to be involved in some way, from the tag team division on SummerSlam. Throw those three tag teams in with Cesaro and Sheamus at SummerSlam. You get a Fatal 4-Way tag team match, do an elimination style, and get all four of those tag teams on the card. I think it'd be a decent match, a lot of different styles, and we'll see what happens. But tell me what you guys think about that. Right after that, we saw that it was going to be a triple threat match next week on Raw between Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns. And on the road to SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar is a lucky man because he's just sitting, on the side, and he's watching Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe get the best of each other tonight. And then next week, they're going at it in a triple threat match. As you know, they're going to kick each other's ass. Brock Lesnar is actually scheduled to fight in Detroit this Saturday. I'm going to be there live, and I'm going to see Brock Lesnar defend his Universal Championship against Baron Corbin from Smackdown Live. That's a pretty cool showcase match that they're having at the last event ever at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. And that's where the Red Wings play. It's had a lot of wrestling history there. So that's something pretty cool. Baron Corbin meeting up against Brock Lesnar. So I'm excited to see that on Saturday. Be having some matches after the show the next couple days after that. So you guys can get the results from the house show. But we found out about that triple threat match next week. And then the main event was Ambrose and Rollins going up against the Miztourage, Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, and then also The Miz with Maurice. And I don't know about you guys, but ever since Bo Dallas and Kurt Hawkins went over to... Kurt Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, ever since they went over to The Miz and joined forces, they've been pretty damn good as a team. You know what I mean? It's just The Miz has just elevated those guys, not to his level, but, you know, they're his lackeys, and they put on a pretty good match tonight. It was a handicap match against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, as you know, two former members of the Shield. Even Cesaro and Sheamus were scouting this matchup in the back, if you guys saw on TV. So that means possibly Sheamus and Cesaro will defend their tag team titles against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in the upcoming weeks. So I think that'd be pretty cool. I did tell you earlier that my sources have said that The Miz is going to be defending his Intercontinental Championship against both Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose at SummerSlam here this year. And that's going to be an awesome triple threat match for the IC belt. I'm definitely excited to see it. But I see Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins turning on each other in the next few weeks here. I didn't expect it to happen tonight, but I see it happening soon before SummerSlam. As you know, Dean Ambrose is still upset after Seth Rollins turning his back on him and Roman Reigns back in 2014 when Seth Rollins destroyed the Shield. So Dean Ambrose is not willing to trust Seth Rollins at all yet, and maybe not ever. But nonetheless, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel and The Miz were dominating most of the match until the end. Saw Dean Ambrose hit The Miz with dirty deeds after Seth Rollins hit The Miz with this, you know, jumping knee off the top rope. So it ended up being a decent main event. You know, you get two baby faces going up against three heels. They put on a good 15-minute match and sent the crowd home happy. So, you know, what more can you say? Thanks for everybody that's chatting in the comments below. But what did you guys think of Raw overall tonight? I think the show would be much better if it was just 2 hours. I mean, if it just was from 9 to 11, and then they went 10 minutes, 15 minutes over, I think this would have been a great show. But they just, you know, they have an extra hour to fill it up, and it just, it has your attention at moments, and then right after that, they can't, you know, keep it up. It's like next thing you know, the show starts to fall down, and it's not that good. And that's just what I keep seeing with this 3-hour Monday Night Raw. You know, they certainly had the talent to put on the show. As you know, they had everybody from the card, everybody from Raw pretty much on the show tonight, with exception to Brock Lesnar. But, like I said, they put a lot of talent in the ring tonight. The crowd was pretty good for most of the night. And I was overall happy with it. But like I said, these 3-hour shows, it just drags on and on and on. And if it was 2 hours, it would just, you know, you would just cut the fat off the show, the garbage, and you'd be left with a good, you know, 2-hour show. And what more can you say? WWE is definitely trying, as you know. Monday Night Raw is certainly better than it was 6 months ago. So WWE is trying to make Raw a better show. SmackDown Live as well. They've got to get the belt off Jinder Mahal over there on SmackDown Live. I don't care if they put it on Cena. I never thought I'd say that, but I don't even care anymore. Just get the belt off Jinder and let's move on. You know what I mean? For SmackDown Live, because they're talking about SmackDown Live. Everybody's saying it's terrible now. And it's because of the title reign of Jinder Mahal. What more can I say? I'm not happy with it. I know you guys aren't either. But Monday Night Raw, overall a good show tonight. And I am excited to see what's going to happen next week. The only match we have announced for next week is a triple threat match with Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman. The Sasha Banks with the Raw Championship. Well, it doesn't look like Sasha Banks is going to SummerSlam, buddy. It looks like Bayley is fighting Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. So Sasha Banks, we don't know what she's going to do. A lot of women not getting you know, utilized yet at SummerSlam. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Sasha Banks on Raw, Nia Jax on Raw. Same thing with Charlotte over on SmackDown, Becky Lynch. A lot of talent in the WWE right now. You can't put everybody in the main event scene in the women's division and the men's division, so they just have to keep rotating these guys in and out, trying to make stars with them at the same time. And, you know, it is what it is. Definitely still missed the pyrotechnics to start the show, and I wish that would have continued. Thanks, Jace Bell. You're my favorite YouTuber as well. Thanks, everybody, for watching the WWE Raw review. Try to interact a little bit. Give me some comments below. I'm running out of things to talk about. I just went over, you know, basically the results of the night, and SummerSlam is just under 4 weeks away. And let's get talking, guys. The summer's heating up. Thanks, everybody, for saying I'm awesome. You guys are awesome, too, all the subscribers and fans. Going to have some cool unboxings next couple days and a few matches for you guys as well. Thanks, Derek Figures 2, for watching. Thanks, everybody that's came on here tonight. Hopefully we got some new people. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Tell us what you think about the channel and also what you think about the review. We're just talking a little bit Monday Night Raw review, and use a lot of different things to make the stage, a lot of different materials. You can get them from Home Depot or Michael's. You can just, take one idea to the next, and, that's basically what happens. And, I started playing with wrestling figures when I was a kid. I see a lot of kids out there have their own channel now, and they're trying to make their collection bigger. And that's just something I've always loved since I was a little kid. And it's pretty awesome to bring you guys these videos. Check out the action figure matches, a library of over 500 videos, and some new matches coming up soon. Got a couple unboxings have to do this week, so I'm just going to give you guys a flash here. Got some pretty cool ones right here to everybody. Going to unbox these tomorrow, so look back for those videos as well. And that's about it. Trying to get better with these reviews from Raw and Smackdown, so try to bear with me. It's a little bit harder to go ahead and talk for a whole hour about Monday Night Raw. Again, it's hard to keep my attention for 3 straight hours, when they just don't have the talent to fill up the whole 3-hour show. And you saw it tonight, because you saw almost everybody on the card, and you were still kind of had those, sets of 3 or 4 times during the show that you're almost like, it's just dragging ass right now. And you don't see that on SmackDown Live, because SmackDown Live's only a 2-hour show, so what more can you say? But SmackDown Live coming up tomorrow night. During the day, I'm going to give you guys a SmackDown Live preview. Once I find out if there's any matches, anybody backstage, we'll find out what happens with Great Khali. Is he going to continue to be there with Jinder Mahal after helping Jinder win the Punjabi prison and escape as WWE Champion from WWE Battleground? Great Khali, is he going to come, and is he going to be the great modern-day Maharaja's bodyguard? We'll find out tomorrow on SmackDown Live. Also going to find out Kevin Owens, AJ Styles. As you know, AJ Styles lost that belt last night, the United States Championship, to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is now the 3-time United States Champion. Let's find out if the WWE is going to take any action. As you know, it was kind of a spotty finish towards the end there with the title change, so we'll see what happens there. You got new tag team champions on SmackDown Live. You got the New Day going tomorrow night as the first time ever guys to pretty much hold the Raw Tag Team Championship and the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. So one of the best tag teams ever. They're rolling in with gold tomorrow night. As you know, Naomi's going to fight Natalya now at SummerSlam, and those 2 girls are going to go face-to-face tomorrow on SmackDown Live. And that's pretty much about it. We'll find out what happens with John Cena and Rusev. Hopefully those guys get something better to do than face each other in a rivalry, because I didn't really like it last night. I thought they were pretty winded throughout the match. They definitely were not in great physical shape to go 20 minutes in that flag match last night. I think they weren't ready for it. They had a lot of ring rust, and what more can you say? I think Rusev's going to end up fighting Randy Orton, possibly, if Randy Orton doesn't take time off. And of course, like I said, I see John Cena fighting the great modern-day Maharaja and Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam. We'll just find out tomorrow, first of all, if Samir Singh is still alive after falling 20 feet off of the Punjabi prison, and we'll see, if the Great Khali's with Jinder Mahal, because I can see the title reign of Jinder Mahal continuing, guys. If he's got the Singh brothers, which are 2 guys, they may not be big, but they're certainly, you saw, they could pretty much stop any match, and they've done that to help Jinder Mahal stay champion. And then if you got Great Khali, the 7-foot guy who could come out and he could just hit you with 1 punch upside the head and knock you out, what more can you say? It's a pretty big tandem for those 4 guys to be together. I can see Jinder Mahal holding the title for a couple more months before John Cena gets a hold of it. But as you know, SmackDown Live tomorrow night. Like I said, I'll give you guys a SmackDown Live preview tomorrow. And then check back out tomorrow for the late night wrestling show at 11 o'clock. Does anybody have anything else to say? I don't want to go ahead and leave everybody so quick tonight. Orton versus Khali, that's something I can see WWE doing, but I don't know if Khali's going to be wrestling in the ring. Thanks to Juan Long. Thanks for giving the shout out there. Also, a shout out to Reviews, Customs, and more. Got a lot of people. You guys can just chat amongst yourselves with this live chat. Everybody can check out each other's channels and each other's content. So that way you can go ahead and network that way. But looking forward to the Smackdown Live tomorrow night. Probably going to be watching some classic wrestling this week. I really haven't watched none in a while, and just going through something personally right now, and I think I'm going to try to watch some old school wrestling and try to get my mind off certain stuff going on. But going to check out some cool classic wrestling. I'm going to let you guys know what I watched. You guys have any suggestions? I'm thinking about some old WCW stuff. Does anybody have any cool ideas about old WCW pay-per-views I should watch? It's been a couple of years, guys, for me. I was a big guy before WWE Network. I would try to go out and buy all the video cassettes from all these old video stores, because that was the only way you could get these pay-per-views and watch some of this old, events. You would have to buy them on, VHS. And find them on the internet, you'd have to pay more. I would go to video stores and I would go rent them or try to buy them for $10 or something like that. I had a little collection. And then they went to DVDs, and the DVDs, they started making some classic shows. And then with the network, that just totally made it totally available. But before that, you could watch some old wrestling stuff on YouTube, and that was really the only way you could watch classic wrestling. And now I'm able to watch classic wrestling now anytime I choose, and I really haven't taken advantage of it lately. I've definitely been kept up on all the current day stuff because I watch it constantly. It's like my favorite thing television-wise to watch, favorite entertainment. But I really haven't watched a lot of old school stuff in a little bit, and I'm gonna dive head first into some classic wrestling. Maybe give you guys some cool wrestling matches from some old events that I watch. But I heard somebody say SummerSlam 2003. That was definitely one of my favorite SummerSlams ever. It had some great matches on there. It had Chris Benoit, RVD, that might have been the year before. They had Shane McMahon against Kane, or Shane McMahon against Eric Bischoff, I'm sorry. They also had, which was a crazy match, they also had Brock Lesnar against Kurt Angle in a good match where Brock Lesnar was actually the good guy and Kurt Angle was the heel, and I thought that was pretty cool. Also, they had 2003. What else was it? Triple H was in the Elimination Chamber match against 5 other guys. I think it was like Goldberg, Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, Jericho, and somebody else. I thought that was pretty awesome. Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam 03. That was SummerSlam 05. Was when HBK Shawn Michaels came face to face with Hulk Hogan, super kicked him into a bloody mess, and then we won't give up the ending, but that was a pretty cool SummerSlam. I have been watching SummerSlam since I was a kid. They're almost, the second biggest show other than WrestleMania, and SummerSlam is, the first one I ever watched and listened to was probably SummerSlam 1992. That was when the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, came out, and they had shoulder packs, and they came out on motorcycles, and that was pretty awesome. They came out with Paul Ellering, who's now managing the Authors of Pain. I remember SummerSlam 93 when Yokozuna and Lex Luger, that was actually here in Detroit, but I was only 8 years old and I had not been to a wrestling event yet. My first one was actually a year later in 1994. I got to see Halloween Havoc 1994. It was pretty awesome. It was Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Steel Cage. Uncle Artie's actually the one that bought me a ticket and took me and my family down there, and it was a guys' night out. And it was the first wrestling event ever. Thought that was pretty awesome. Yokozuna versus Bret Hart, they fought each other at WrestleManias, but they haven't fought at a SummerSlam. But SummerSlam has always been great wrestling shows. And, even during the Attitude Era, they were pretty good. And even when people didn't watch a lot of WWF, in 1997, they had a great SummerSlam. 96 was decent. That was right after they lost the Outsiders, Hall and Nash, Diesel and Razor Ramon, to the WCW. They had lost a lot of talent within a couple of years before 96, but they ended up having a decent show. And I remember SummerSlam, right after the brand extension the first time, right after the draft back in 2002, that was the first time where you had 2 brands that were distinct from one another with different talent on each show, and that was pretty awesome. 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, those are all, the first 5 years of the first brand extension were the best. You had all this talent in WWE, and they, put on these pay-per-views that were, great when you got to see them both have an inter-brand pay-per-view, where they inter-promotional pay-per-view, where they had Raw and SmackDown superstars both fighting on the same card, and it just made it super shows, guys. And that's what this year's SummerSlam is going to be. You're going to have some of the biggest stars from Raw and SmackDown fighting. You're going to have some big multi-man matches, as you know, the Fatal 4-Way going on from Raw with Strowman, Reigns, Samoa Joe, and then Brock Lesnar. As you know, like I said, Intercontinental Championship triple threat match. Get ready for that. The Miz, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins. That's going to lead Dean Ambrose into turning heel and going his separate ways with kicking Seth Rollins' ass. And they're going to have some type of rivalry going on that's going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. And that's going to be back some cool memories. Hopefully, we're going to see the Shield reunite at Survivor Series once again. Last year, they reunited for just a moment when they powerbombed AJ Styles through the commentator's table. But they've been teasing it for the last year. WWE now have all three of these guys on the same brand once again. And I'd like to see these guys reunite for at least one big pay-per-view. WWE can, give us the Shield flashbacks, that whole thing, and, take it from there. Over the last few years, SummerSlam's been okay. Last year, Dean Ambrose was in a disappointing match with Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship. You also had the first Universal Championship crowned, and that was when Finn Balor won against Seth Rollins in a match where Finn Balor ended up getting a lot of injuries and ended up needing 9 months off. But definitely excited for this year's SummerSlam. I see a lot of guys getting some big-time spots. I expect possibly a triple threat match for the United States Championship with Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, and then Kevin Owens. Lead that into a triple threat match, guys. Have those guys fight in the ring, 3 different styles, 3 different, worlds of wrestling combined to one. You know what I mean? AJ Styles, Shinsuke had that great match over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and everybody wants to see them fight one-on-one. They've teased it in the WWE here over the last couple weeks, but it looks like those guys are going to have to wait to fight one-on-one, maybe till WrestleMania. But it looks like hopefully we'll get a triple threat match: Owens, AJ, Shinsuke. As you know, Baron Corbin could cash in that Money in the Bank at any time on the road to SummerSlam or after. And everybody's AJ Styles fans. That's my favorite fan. Who's your favorite fan? Huh, guys? Or who's your favorite man in the WWE? It's AJ Styles. How can you have anybody different? You know what I mean? He's the best worker in ring, and he's great on the mic as well. But AJ Styles just ahead of his time, too. You know what I mean? Just imagine, the professional wrestling in 10 or 20 years, all the wrestlers are going to be emulating AJ Styles because they're one of the best, he's one of the best wrestlers we have ever seen. And that's what happens when you continue to tear the house down and you become the best wrestler in the world. You have, fans that try to emulate you and try to, craft their trade after yours. And that's how Shawn Michaels was ahead of his time, and then you had everybody over the last 20 years have basically tried to be that next Shawn Michaels. Seth Rollins was the guy that, I thought came closest to it. CM Punk was pretty damn good as well. And then now you have AJ Styles, who is, the baddest man in the land. And he's putting on 5-star shows over on Smackdown Live. And, AJ Styles, he deserves it, though, guys. He's wrestled all around the world. All I know is Vince McMahon wishes he could have hired AJ Styles 15 years ago, man, because Vince McMahon would have made a lot of money with AJ Styles. And what do you guys think about the brand extension right now? Are you guys happy with the first year so far? We're almost at 12 months. I think I'm very happy with the brand extension so far. Without a doubt, you've had new stars on Raw and SmackDown, get their shots. You've had, several champions crowned for the first time ever in the main event scene, and we've had a lot of debuts with guys from NXT. As WWE continues to create these stars in NXT, Raw and SmackDown are going to continue to get replenished, and we're going to get new product, on Monday and Tuesdays. That's one of the biggest reasons people like NXT so much, in my opinion, is because they're seeing new superstars all the time. It's like a, wrestling figure factory. You know what I mean? Or a wrestler factory where they're just, you know, making these WWE superstars, giving them the right gimmick, giving them the right entrance, the right attire, and then, you know, when they're ready to go to the main show, they are, and, you know, they just go on what's next. And from what I understand, you got to give a lot of credit to all the trainers down there at NXT. Same with Triple H, and he's in charge of NXT. And as long as NXT continues to, you know, pound out all these new WWE superstars. As you know, not all of them have become superstars on the main show, but most of the, you know, guys that you see in WWE TV today have came from NXT, you know, whether they started wrestling there or they came from other promotions and made their way through NXT to Raw or Smackdown. But, you know, the state of the WWE right now, I think, is very good. And, you know, that's all I can say. I'm a big wrestling fan. I have been since I was a kid. I'm not going to come out here and just talk shit about the WWE and try to badmouth it. You know, we all watch it. We all watch it because we like it, and we have loved it at certain times in our lives. And I'm one of the biggest WWE wrestling fans you've ever, you know, met in your life. And I'm a big time, you know, wrestling fan that's been watching for 25 years, and I just want to give you guys the best reviews, talk some wrestling with you guys, and you know, just continue 11 o'clock every night except on Mondays. You can check me out right after Monday Night Raw. That is the late night wrestling show with Super J here on the Wrestle Cave. Check me out every night to talk about wrestling. If there's not any shows that night, we're going to talk about different topics that are plaguing wrestling. Maybe certain storylines, maybe certain news that comes out that day, even possibly some old school wrestling, which I'm going to be watching later this evening and this week. So I'm going to be able to chat with you guys with that. But like I said, I'm going to be watching some old WCW stuff this week, I think. And I think that's going to maybe make me feel a little bit better. But one of my favorite figures, there's so many favorite figures, guys. I mean, there's so many, you know, great ones. And WWE and Mattel in particular does a great job on making these figures as best as they can. For the most part, you know, sometimes you might get a figure that you're not too happy with, that WWE, you know, a superstar of WWE, Mattel does not make that one. Like the Austin Aries, I was not happy with. But there's other, you know, action figures that they've done so well. It's like 10 out of 10. And there's just so many. That's why, you know, the action figure matches are great. You guys can check out all the new stuff coming out. Check out the unboxing videos. You can also check out the coolest matches with this LED light stage and the coolest collection on YouTube. And thank you for bringing me into your YouTube and letting me talk to you guys about this July 24th edition of Monday Night Raw. I'll be talking to you tomorrow night after, before and after Smackdown Live. Tomorrow night, 11 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow during the day, I'll be coming up to you guys, uploading a video with some unboxing videos and also a pretty cool preview for Smackdown Live if I hear anything. So check you guys out. Thanks for watching. See you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Peace.